The morning lights on Harmony Station flickered to life at exactly 0600 hours, just like they did every day. The common area slowly filled with aliens from dozens of different worlds. Some had scales, others had fur, some walked on two legs, others floated in the air. They all came here to eat their morning meals before starting their work. Hana walked into the common area with a silver thermos in her hand. She was a human woman, with dark hair tied back in a simple knot. Her uniform was neat and clean, with the Earth symbol on her shoulder. She had been on Harmony Station for 3 months now, working as a diplomat for her people. She found her usual spot near the large window that showed the stars outside. Hana sat down and placed her thermos on the table. She unscrewed the lid slowly. Carefully, steam rose from the opening, carrying a rich, dark smell into the air. Across the room, a small creature watched her. His name was Crix, and he looked like a fox from Earth. But he walked on 2 legs and wore a tiny uniform. His orange fur was bright and clean. His large ears pointed forward, always listening. His tail swished behind him as he sat with his mother at their table. Crix had been watching the human woman for many days now. Every morning, she did the same thing. She would sit down, open her container, and drink the dark liquid inside. And every time she drank it, her face would change. Her eyes would close. A small smile would appear. She would make a sound like a sigh. The other aliens on the station ate their meals quickly. They consumed nutrient pastes from tubes or ate compressed food bars. Eating was something they did because their bodies needed fuel. It took them only a few minutes to finish. But this human woman was different. She would sit with her drink for 30 minutes, sometimes more. She would hold the cup with both hands. She would breathe in the steam. Sometimes she would stare out the window at the stars while she drank. "Mother," Crix whispered, pulling on his mother's arm. "Why does the human do that every morning?" His mother, Ambassador Velthar, looked over at Hana. Velthar was much larger than her son, with silver-streaked fur and wise eyes. She had been a diplomat for many years. "Do what, little one?" Velthar asked. "That," Crix pointed with one small finger. "She drinks that dark liquid. It smells strange, strong. Every morning she drinks it. And every morning I wonder why." Velthar's ears flicked. She too had noticed the human's morning ritual. "I do not know, Crix. Humans have many strange habits." "Is it medicine?" Crix asked. His ears drooped a little. "Is she sick?" "I do not think so," Velthar said. "She seems healthy." Crix watched as Hana poured more of the dark liquid from her thermos into a small cup. The smell reached his sensitive nose even from across the room. It was bitter and strong, with many layers he could not understand. His nose twitched. "It smells like burning," Crix said. "Like plants on fire. Why would someone drink something that smells like that?" "One. Like bringing." His mother had no answer. For several more minutes, Crix watched. He saw another human enter the common area. This one was a man named Tejo. He wore glasses and carried a datapad under his arm. When Tejo saw Hana, his face brightened. "Hana, good morning," Tejo called out. He walked over to her table and sat down. "Morning, Tejo," Hana said. She smiled at him. "Want some?" She held up her thermos. Tejo nodded eagerly. Hana poured some of the dark liquid into a second cup and handed it to him. Tejo took the cup with both hands, just like Hana did. He breathed in deeply, his eyes closed. "Ah," he said. "Perfect. You always make it perfect." "It's just coffee," Hana laughed. "Just coffee? There's no such thing as just coffee," Tejo said. He took a long drink and sighed happily. Crix's curiosity grew stronger. 2 humans now, both drinking the same dark liquid, both acting like it was the best thing in the world. But the smell was so strong, so bitter. How could they enjoy it? "Mother, I want to know," Crix said. He stood up from his seat. "Crix, wait," Veldar started to say, but her son was already walking across the common area. His small feet patted softly on the floor. His tail swished nervously behind him. Other aliens watched as the small cub walked toward the human table. It was unusual for children to approach other species without their parents. Crix stopped a few feet away from Hana and Tejo. He looked up at them with his large eyes. Hana noticed him first. She smiled down at the small fox-like child. "Hello there," she said gently. "Can I help you?" Crix's ears flattened against his head. He was nervous, but he had to know. "I have a question," he said in his high, young voice. "Sure," Hana said. She set down her cup. "What would you like to know?" 17 Mao. Crix pointed at her thermos. "That drink you have. The dark one. I see you drink it every morning." "My coffee?" Hana asked. "Coffee," Crix repeated the strange word. "Yes. Why? Why do you drink it?" Tejo chuckled, but Hana gave him a look that said, "Be nice." She turned back to Crix. "Why do I drink coffee?" Hana asked. "That's a good question." "It smells very strong," Crix said, his nose wrinkled. "Like burning. My mother says humans have strong taste for bitter things, but this seems extreme." Hana's smile grew wider. "You think it smells bad?" "I don't know if it's bad," Crix said honestly. "Just very strong. Too strong, and you drink it every day. So I thought—" He paused, trying to find the right words. "I thought maybe it was medicine. Maybe you are poisoning yourself every morning because you have to." Tejo laughed out loud at that. But Hana didn't laugh. She looked at the small cub with kind eyes. "Poisoning myself," she repeated. "I suppose it might look like that to someone who doesn't understand." "So you are sick?" Crix asked, his ears perking up with worry. "No, little one," Hana said. "I'm not sick. And this isn't medicine. At least, not the way you think." "Then why?" Crix asked again. Hana looked at her thermos. She looked at her cup. Then she looked back at Crix. She seemed to be thinking about how to explain something very complicated in simple words. "Would you like to understand?" Hana asked finally. Crix's tail began to wag. Yes, please." Hana glanced toward Velthar, who was watching from across the room. The ambassador gave a small nod. "Permission granted. Come here then," Hana said. She unscrewed the lid of her thermos completely. "You said it smells strong, right?" "Very strong," Crix confirmed. "Then come closer," Hana said. She knelt down so she was at the same height as the small cub. "I'll let you smell it properly. Really smell it. And then maybe you'll start to understand what coffee means to humans." She held the thermos out toward him. Crix stepped forward slowly, his nose already twitching. His curiosity had brought him this far. Now he would learn the truth about the strange human ritual he had been watching for so many days. The dark liquid waited inside the thermos, still steaming, still mysterious. And Crix leaned forward to take his first real breath of Earth's most beloved drink. Crix leaned forward and breathed in deeply. The smell hit his sensitive nose like a wave. His eyes went wide. His ears shot straight up. His whole body went stiff. It was not just one smell. It was hundreds of smells, maybe thousands, all mixed together. Crix's nose could separate them. One by one. Bitter and sweet. Earthy and bright. Dark chocolate and burnt wood. Flowers and nuts. Caramel and smoke. "Oh," Crix breathed. His tail had stopped moving. He was frozen in place, overwhelmed by the complexity of what his nose was telling him. "Too much?" Hana asked gently. Crix shook his head slowly. "No. I've never smelled anything like this. How many things are in there?" Tejo leaned forward with interest. "What do you smell?" "Everything," Crix said. He breathed in again, more carefully this time. "I smell earth, dirt, but good dirt, like where things grow. And I smell something sweet, but hidden under the bitter, and smoke, but not dangerous smoke. And—" He paused, trying to find words for things he had no name for. Other aliens in the common area had started to notice. A tall blue creature with 3 eyes walked closer. a floating jellyfish-like being drifted over. They watched the small cub with the human woman, curious about what was happening. "You have a good nose," Hana said. "Your species has much better smell than humans do." "We are Valerians," Crix said, still breathing in the coffee smell. "We can smell many things. We use our noses to find food, to know when danger is near, to recognize our family." "Then you can smell things in this coffee that I can't," Hana said. "What I smell is just coffee, but you smell all the pieces." "Why are there so many pieces?" Crix asked. "Did you mix many things together?" "No," Hana said. "This is just the coffee bean. One plant. But inside that plant are more than 800 different compounds, different chemicals. Your nose can detect them." Crix's mother had walked over now. Velthar stood behind her son, watching carefully. 800 compounds in one plant?" she asked. "That seems excessive. Nature is complicated," Hana said with a smile. "Coffee plants grow on Earth, in warm places near the equator. The beans are actually seeds from the coffee fruit." "You drink ground-up seeds?" the blue three-eyed alien asked. His voice was shocked. "We roast them first," Tejo added helpfully. "Then we grind them and pour hot water through them. The water takes the flavor and the caffeine." "Caffeine?" Crix asked. This was a new word. "A chemical," Hana explained. "It makes humans more awake, more alert." The floating jellyfish being made a sound like bubbles popping. "You need chemicals to be awake? Why not just sleep more?" Hana and Tejo looked at each other. Something passed between them. A shared understanding. "That's complicated," Hana said. "I want to understand," Crix insisted. "Please." "You said I could understand." Velthar put her hand on her son's shoulder. "Perhaps we are bothering the humans with too many questions." "No, it's okay," Hana said. She looked at the small group that had gathered around her table. More aliens had joined, curious about the conversation. "If you really want to understand coffee, you need to see where it comes from. Or at least, where we grow it here on the station." "You grow it here?" Crix asked. His tail started wagging again. "On the station? We have a small plant in the hydroponics bay," Hana said. She stood up and screwed the lid back on her thermos. "Would you like to see it?" "Yes," Crix said immediately. Velthar looked uncertain. "We have our lessons this morning. Please, Mother." Crix looked up at her with big eyes. "I want to learn about this." "It's still learning, isn't it?" The ambassador's ears flicked. She could not argue with that logic. "Very well, but only for a short time." Hana led the group out of the common area. They walked through the white corridors of Harmony Station. Tejo walked beside Hana, still carrying his cup of coffee. Crix walked between them, asking questions constantly. "Why is it called coffee? How long does the plant take to grow? Can other species drink it? Do all humans drink it?" Hana answered each question patiently. Behind them, Velthar walked with the other curious aliens, who had decided to join this unexpected tour. The hydroponics bay was a large room filled with plants from many different worlds. The air was warm and humid. Lights shone down on rows of green growing things. A human woman with dirt on her hands looked up as they entered. "Minji," Hana called out. "We have visitors who want to learn about coffee." Minji was a botanist. She took care of all the plants in the hydroponics bay. Her hair was pulled back in a messy bun, and she wore a green apron over her uniform. She smiled when she saw Hana and the group of aliens. "Coffee tourists?" Minji asked with a laugh. "That's a first." "This is Crix," Hana said, gesturing to the cub. "He wanted to know why humans drink coffee." "Ah," Minji said. She wiped her hands on her apron and walked over to a small plant in the corner. "Well, you've come to the right place. This is our station's only coffee plant." The plant was small, barely 3 feet tall. It had dark green leaves that were shiny and smooth. Small white flowers grew on some of the branches. "It's pretty," Crix said. He stepped closer to examine it. "Is this really what makes that strong smell?" "Not yet," Minji said. "See these flowers? They will become coffee cherries. Inside each cherry are 2 seeds. Those are the coffee beans. But it takes time. This plant won't produce enough beans to make even 1 cup for months. The blue alien spoke up. Why waste resources growing it then? Why not synthesize the compound you need? The caffeine chemical? Minji's smile faded a little. We could do that. It would be easier. More efficient. But? Velthar asked. She could sense there was more to the answer, but it wouldn't be the same. Hana said quietly. She reached out and gently touched one of the coffee plant's leaves. Synthesized, caffeine would wake us up. It would do the job. But it wouldn't be coffee. I do not understand, the blue alien said. If it has the same effect, why does it matter? Teho spoke up. Because coffee isn't just about the caffeine. It's not just about waking up. Then what is it about? Crix asked. Hana looked at the small plant. She looked at her thermos. She looked at the group of aliens who were all watching her, waiting for an answer. It's about where you come from, she said finally. Coffee comes from Earth. It grows in soil that our ancestors walked on. It's watered by rain that falls from Earth's sky. The sun that makes it grow is our sun. But you're not on Earth, the jellyfish being pointed out. No, Hana agreed. We're here, far from home. That's why this plant matters so much. That's why we give it space and light and water, even though it's not efficient. Minji nodded. Every human on this station comes to see this plant sometimes. They touch the leaves. They smell the flowers. It reminds them of home. And when we drink coffee, Teho added, we're not just drinking caffeine. We're drinking a piece of Earth, a piece of history. Every cup connects us to every other human who ever drank coffee, to the farmers who grew it, to the traders who sold it, to the billions of people over thousands of years who sat down with a cup and took a moment to just be. Crix looked at the plant. Then he looked at Hana's thermos. Something was starting to make sense in his mind, but he couldn't quite put it into words yet. You grow this plant, not because you need to, Crix said slowly. You grow it because you want to. Yes, Hana said. And you drink coffee not because it's the best way to wake up, Crix continued. You drink it because of what it means. Yes, Hana said again. She smiled at the small cub. You're beginning to understand. Velthar's ears were standing straight up now. She was surprised by her son's insight. The other aliens looked confused, except for one. An old reptilian creature at the back of the group nodded slowly, as if remembering something from long ago. But I still don't understand why you need to wake up, Crix said. The jellyfish asked a good question. Why don't you just sleep more? Hana and Teho and Minji all exchanged glances. They were all thinking the same thing. That, Hana said, is an even bigger question. And to answer it, you need to understand something about humans that most other species find very strange. The group moved to a small meeting room near the hydroponics bay. Teho had brought his data pad and was pulling up information on the wall screen. Crix sat at the table, his small feet swinging above the floor. The other aliens filled the remaining seats or hovered nearby. Let me show you something, Teho said. He pulled up a chart. This is data about sleep cycles for different species in the Galactic Council. The chart showed bars of different colors. Each bar represented a different species. Most of the bars showed sleep times between 6 and 10 hours. Valerians sleep 8 hours per night, Teho said, pointing to one bar. The krill sleep 10. The Mathuri sleep 6. Most species sleep when their bodies tell them to sleep. When they are tired, they rest. When they are rested, they wake up. That seems logical, Velthar said. It is logical, Hana agreed. It's the smart thing to do. But humans don't do this? Crix asked. No, Teho said. He pulled up another chart. This one showed human sleep patterns. The human body wants to sleep about 8 hours per night. That's what we need to be healthy. But look at what humans actually do. The new chart showed different numbers. Many humans slept only 6 hours. Some slept 5. Some even less. You don't sleep enough? The blue alien asked. On purpose? Not exactly on purpose, Hana said. It's more complicated than that. Tejo nodded. Thousands of years ago, humans slept when the sun went down and woke when it came up. Just like other species. Just like nature intended. What changed? Crix asked. We did, Hana said simply. Humans invented fire. Fire gave us light after dark, so we could stay awake longer. Then we invented candles, and lanterns, and electric lights. Each invention let us push back the darkness a little more. But why? Velthar asked. Why fight against your own biology? Minji spoke up from where she leaned against the wall. Because the night is when we have time to think. To create. To talk with each other. When the sun is up, we work, we hunt, we farm, we build. But when the sun goes down and the work is done, that's when humans become more. More what? Crix asked. More ourselves, Minji said. Artists paint at night. Scientists study the stars. Writers write their stories. Lovers talk for hours. Friends gather and share food and laughter. The night is when we are free to explore ideas instead of just surviving. Tejo pulled up another image. This one showed a human city at night, full of lights. Other species evolved to fit their world. Humans evolved to change their world. We turned night into day. We made light where there was darkness. But your bodies still need sleep, the jellyfish being said. You cannot change that. No, Hana admitted. We can't. Our bodies still get tired. They still need rest. But humans decided that consciousness is too precious to waste. Waste? Velthar's ears flicked in confusion. Sleep is not waste. Sleep is necessary. You're right, Hana said. Sleep is necessary. But think about it. If we sleep 8 hours every night, that's 1/3 of our lives spent unconscious. 1/3 of our time not seeing, not learning, not experiencing the universe. Humans find that unacceptable, Tejo said. So you poison yourselves with coffee to steal more hours from sleep? The blue alien asked. We don't think of it as stealing, Hana said. We think of it as borrowing. A door opened, and another human walked in. This was Jiho, a military officer with short hair and a neat uniform. He had a cup of coffee in his hand. Sorry I'm late, Jiho said. I heard there was an interesting discussion happening here. He saw Crix and smiled. Hello, little one. Learning about coffee? Learning about humans, Crix corrected. Jiho laughed. Same thing, really. He sat down at the table. What have I missed? We're trying to explain why humans don't sleep enough, Minji said. Ah, Jiho said. He took a sip of his coffee. That's easy. Because there's too much to do and too little time to do it. But you could do it over more days, Velthar said. If you slept properly and worked during your waking hours. Could we? Jiho asked. Let me tell you a story. 300 years ago, there was a war on Earth. A big one. My country was fighting for its freedom. Our soldiers were outnumbered. They were tired. They hadn't slept in days. Crix leaned forward, listening carefully. The enemy thought they had won, Jiho continued. They thought our soldiers were too tired to fight anymore. But our generals had something the enemy didn't expect. Coffee? Crix guessed. Coffee, Jiho confirmed. They brewed huge pots of it and gave it to every soldier. And those tired, sleepy soldiers found the energy to fight one more battle. And they won. You won a war with coffee? The blue alien asked skeptically. We won a war with determination, Jiho said. Coffee just gave us the ability to keep going when our bodies said stop. It let us borrow strength from tomorrow to use today. But tomorrow comes, Velthar said. You must pay back what you borrowed. Your bodies must rest eventually. True, Hana said. We can't avoid sleep forever. But we can delay it. We can push it back. We can squeeze more life into the time we have. Tejo pulled up another image on the screen. This one showed the timeline of human inventions. Look at this. Most of these inventions happened at night. The inventor was tired, probably should have been sleeping, but had one more idea they wanted to try. So they made coffee and worked through the night. And in the morning, the world had something new. The light bulb. Minji read from the list. The telephone. The computer. The quantum drive that lets us travel between stars. All of them created by tired humans who refuse to go to bed. This is insane, the blue alien said, but he sounded impressed rather than critical. Yes, Hana agreed cheerfully. It is insane, but it's also very human. Crix was quiet, thinking hard. His tail swished slowly behind him. So coffee doesn't just wake you up. It's a tool. A tool that lets humans ignore what their bodies tell them. That's one way to look at it, Tejo said. Isn't that dangerous? Crix asked. What if your body is telling you something important? It is dangerous, Hana admitted. Some humans drink too much coffee. They don't sleep enough for too many days. They get sick. We know it's not healthy. Then why do it? Velthar demanded. She sounded frustrated now. If you know it harms you, why continue? Hana was quiet for a moment. She looked down at her thermos, turning it slowly in her hands. Because, she said finally, humans believe that some things are worth the cost. We look at the universe and we see so much beauty, so much mystery, so many questions to answer, and we only have a limited time to experience it all. Every human gets maybe 80 years if they're lucky. That's not enough. It's never enough. So we don't sleep, Minji added. We drink coffee and stay up late and get up early. We borrow time from our bodies. We pay the price in tiredness and health. But in exchange, we get more life, more consciousness, more moments to see and learn and feel. Jiho raised his coffee cup. Other species live in harmony with nature. Humans live in negotiation with it. We respect our biology, but we don't let it rule us. We find ways to work around it, push past it, override it. That is terrifying, the jellyfish being said quietly. Yes, Hana said. I suppose it is. And admirable, Velthar added, surprising everyone. Foolish, certainly. Dangerous. Absolutely. But also, brave. Crix looked up at his mother. Then he looked at Hana. I'm starting to understand. Coffee isn't just a drink. It's a symbol. It means humans refuse to accept limits. Smart cub, Jiho said with approval. But there's more, isn't there? Crix asked. You haven't told me everything yet. I can tell, Hana smiled. You're very perceptive. Yes, there's more. Coffee isn't just about staying awake. It's also about what we do while we're awake. It's about... Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the station. Red lights flashed on the walls. Everyone jumped to their feet. A voice came over the communication system. Emergency in Sector 7. Life support failure. All qualified personnel report immediately. This is not a drill. Jiho was already running toward the door. Tejo grabbed his datapad and followed. Minji looked at Hana. Are you coming? Minji asked. I'm not an engineer, Hana said. They'll need everyone, Minji said. Even if it's just to help carry tools. Hana nodded. She looked at Crix and Velthar. I'm sorry. We have to go. We understand, Velthar said. Go, help your people. Hana ran toward the door. But as she passed Crix, she paused just long enough to say, if you want to really understand coffee, little one, watch what happens next. Then she was gone, running down the corridor with her thermos still in her hand. Crix looked up at his mother. Can we watch? Can we see what the humans do? Velthar's ears were flat against her head with worry, but she saw the determination in her son's eyes. Yes, she said. I think we need to see this. They followed the humans toward Sector 7, where the real lesson was about to begin. Sector 7 was the oldest part of Harmony Station. The corridor lights flickered as Crix and Velthar arrived with other observers. Engineers from a dozen different species were gathered near the damaged section, all talking at once. A human man stood at the center of the chaos. His name was Sunho. And he was the chief engineer for the human contingent. He had grease on his uniform and sweat on his forehead. He was looking at a data pad that showed the damage assessment. "It's the main junction," Sunho said loudly, trying to be heard over the noise. "The life support conduit runs through there. If we don't fix it, we'll lose oxygen recycling for this entire sector." "How long to repair?" asked a tall insect-like alien with 4 arms. 30 hours, Sunho said. "Maybe more. We need to replace the entire junction and reroute the power." 30 hours? The insect alien's antenna drooped. "That's 5 work shifts. We'll need to rotate teams constantly." "We don't have enough qualified engineers for 5 teams," said another alien, this one with blue scales. "Most species can work 6-hour shifts maximum before exhaustion. Then we stretch the shifts," Sunho said. 8 hours. "That violates safety protocols," the blue alien argued. Crix watched as more engineers arrived. Some were aliens from other species, some were human. Jiho was there, even though he was military, not engineering. Taeho came with his datapad. Minji arrived too, carrying a toolkit. "I'm not an engineer," Minji said when she reached Hana. "Neither am I," Hana replied. "But we can carry things. We can help." Sunho organized the teams quickly. He assigned aliens to the first shifts, based on their species' abilities. The krill had strong arms for heavy lifting. The Mathuri had small fingers for delicate work. The insect alien could work in tight spaces with its 4 arms. "Humans," Sunho called out. "We take the night shifts. The long ones." "How long?" Jiho asked. "As long as it takes," Sunho said simply. The work began. The first team went into the damage section with tools and equipment. Crix and his mother watched from a safe observation area. Other aliens gathered there too, curious and concerned. Hour 1 passed. The team worked steadily, removing damaged panels and assessing the full extent of the problem. Hour 3. The first team rotated out. A second team went in. They looked fresh and alert. They moved quickly. Hour 6. The second team was getting tired. They worked more slowly now. Their movements were careful but not as smooth as before. Hour 8. The second team came out, exhausted. Most of them went directly to sleep. A third team prepared to go in, but there were only 4 qualified engineers left. Not enough for a full team. "We'll manage," Sunho said. "Humans, we're up." Jiho, Taeho, Minji, and Hana joined Sunho. 5 humans against a job that needed 8 workers. "This is insane," the blue alien said. "You cannot do this with so few people." "Watch us," Sunho said. Before they went in, the humans gathered in a small group. Sunho pulled out a large thermos. It was much bigger than Hana's personal one. He poured dark coffee into 5 cups and handed them out. "To borrowed time," Sunho said, raising his cup. "To borrowed time," the others replied. They all drank. Crix watched as the humans entered the damaged section. He saw them move to their positions. They started working immediately, their movements confident and sure. Hour 10. The humans were still working. Their pace hadn't slowed. Hour 12. Other species came to watch. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. The humans worked without breaks, without rest. Whenever someone looked tired, another human would hand them a cup of coffee from the thermos Sunho had brought. Crix's eyes were wide. "They should be exhausted by now," he whispered to his mother. "They are exhausted," Velthar said quietly. "Look at their faces." She was right. Crix could see it now. The humans moved efficiently, but their eyes were tired. Their faces showed strain. When they thought no one was watching, their shoulders would slump, but then they would drink more coffee, take a deep breath, and keep going. Hour 15. A small crack appeared in one of the panels. Taeho noticed it immediately. "We have a problem," he called out. "The stress is affecting other systems." "Can we compensate?" Sunho asked. "We need to reroute through auxiliary systems," Taeho said. "But that means more work. Maybe 10 more hours." Sunho didn't hesitate. "Then we work 10 more hours." "Sunho," Hana said quietly. We've been at this for 15 hours already. I know what it is, Sunho said. 25 hours total. I can do math, Hana. That's not healthy, she said. Neither is losing life support for an entire sector, Sunho replied. He looked at his team. Anyone who wants to tap out. Tap out now. No judgment. This isn't a normal job. No one moved. They all stayed at their posts. Okay then, Sunho said. Let's brew more coffee. Hour 18. The humans were moving slower now. Even the coffee couldn't completely hide their fatigue, but they kept working. Their hands remained steady as they connected delicate circuits and welded metal panels. Crix watched a human hand guide a laser welder along a seam. The hand didn't shake. The line was perfectly straight, but he could see the effort it took. He could see the concentration on the human's face. How are they doing this? The blue alien asked. He had been watching for hours too. Their biology should have forced them to stop by now. Their biology is trying to stop them, Velthar said. But they're not listening. Hour 21. More coffee. More deep breaths. More determination. Jiho was welding a support bracket. His eyes were red and tired. His uniform was soaked with sweat. But his hands didn't shake. The weld was perfect. Minji was running diagnostic tests. She had been staring at screens for so long that her eyes watered, but she didn't miss a single error in the code. Hour 24. 1 full day since the emergency began. The humans had been working for more than 14 hours straight. The other species who were watching had started bringing them food and water. Even though they didn't understand why the humans were doing this, they wanted to help. A young krill brought a plate of food to Hana. You need to eat, the krill said gently. Thank you, Hana said. She ate quickly, mechanically, not tasting the food. It was just fuel. Then she went back to work. Hour 26. The auxiliary systems were almost complete. Just a few more connections, a few more tests. Crix had stayed awake the whole time, watching. His mother had tried to make him sleep, but he refused. He needed to see this. He needed to understand. They're going to make it, the blue alien said. There was awe in his voice. They're actually going to make it. Hour 27. Sunho made the last connection. Taeho ran the final diagnostic. The screen showed green lights across the board. Life support restored, Taeho said. His voice was hoarse from not drinking enough water. All systems operational. For a moment, no one moved. The 5 humans just stood there, staring at the green lights. Then Sunho laughed. It was a tired, slightly delirious laugh. We did it, he said. We actually did it. The humans started coming out of the damaged section. They moved slowly now, like their bodies had suddenly remembered how tired they were. The aliens who had been watching started clapping. It was a strange sound. Different hands and appendages making different noises. But it was clearly applause. The humans accepted it with tired smiles. They collapsed onto benches and chairs, their work finally done. Sunho pulled out his thermos one more time. He poured out the last of the coffee and shared it among his team. 5 small cups, barely more than a sip each. To borrowed time, Sunho said again, his voice barely above a whisper. To borrowed time, the others replied. They drank their coffee. Then, one by one, they fell asleep right where they sat. Their bodies had finally demanded rest. And there was no more coffee to argue with. Crix walked slowly toward where Hana slept. She was leaning against a wall, her empty coffee cup still in her hand, fast asleep. He looked at her tired face. He looked at the other sleeping humans. Then he looked at the green lights on the diagnostic screen that showed Sector 7 was safe. I understand now, Crix said softly. His mother put her hand on his shoulder. What do you understand, little one? Coffee doesn't make humans superhuman, Crix said. It just helps them be more human. It lets them push past what nature says they should be able to do. It lets them care more about others than about their own comfort. That is both their greatest strength and their greatest danger, Velthar said quietly. Yes, Crix agreed. But mother? I think the galaxy needs that strength. I think we need humans to be exactly what they are, even if it seems crazy to us. Velthar looked at the sleeping humans. She thought about what she had witnessed over the past 27 hours. She thought about what it meant. I think you may be right, she said finally. Crix sat down next to Hana and waited for her to wake up. He had more questions, but they could wait. For now, he would let her rest. She had earned it. 3 days after the Sector 7 emergency, the Galactic Council held a formal meeting. The council chamber was a large circular room with seats rising in tiers around a central speaking floor. Representatives from 30 different species sat in their designated places. Crix sat with his mother in the Valerian section. His small feet didn't touch the floor from his chair. He watched as various officials gave their reports about station operations. Then the topic shifted to the emergency repairs. We must discuss the human response to the Sector 7 crisis, said Elder Speaker Morton. He was ancient, even by the standards of his long-lived species. His voice was thin but carried authority. Their methods were unconventional. Brahma, dangerous, added the blue representative that Crix had seen during the repairs. They worked for 27 hours without proper rest. They consumed excessive amounts of a stimulant drug. This violated every safety protocol we have. Yet they succeeded, Velthar said calmly. The repairs were completed faster than any projection. No one was injured. Sector 7 is fully operational. That does not excuse the violation of biological safety standards, another representative argued. This one looked like a floating crystal that hummed when it spoke. If we allow such behavior, what precedent does it set? The precedent, said a rough voice, is that humans get things done. Everyone turned. It was Sunho, standing in the visitors' area. He had been invited to give a report. He looked much better than he had 3 days ago. His uniform was clean. His eyes were clear, but there was still tiredness in his face, the kind that doesn't go away after just a few nights' sleep. Please approach, Chief Engineer, Elder Speaker Morton said. Sunho walked down to the central floor. He stood there, one human surrounded by representatives from 30 species. You put yourself and your team at risk, the crystal being said. Why? Because the alternative was worse, Sunho said simply. If we had followed standard protocols, the repairs would have taken twice as long. The station's life support would have been compromised. People could have died, but you could have died too, the blue representative said. Working that long, pushing your body beyond its limits. What you did was effectively self-harm. Was it? Sunho asked. I checked with medical after we finished. All 5 of us. We were tired, yes. Exhausted, definitely. But none of us suffered any permanent damage. We slept for 2 days, we drank a lot of water, and now we're fine. You were lucky, the crystal being said. No, Sunho disagreed. We were experienced. We've done this before. Not the exact same thing. But we know our limits. We know how to borrow time from our bodies and pay it back safely. Borrow time, repeated Elder Speaker Morton. This phrase keeps appearing in human communication. It seems significant. It is, Sunho said. It's what coffee represents to us. There was murmuring throughout the chamber. Many representatives had heard about the coffee by now. The story of the small Valerian cub asking questions about human drinks had spread through the station. Coffee is just a stimulant, the blue representative said. A drug that masks fatigue. It's more than that, Sunho said. But I'm not good with words. I'm an engineer. Maybe someone else should explain. He looked up at the Valerian section, directly at Crix. Crix's ears shot straight up. His tail stopped moving. Me? He squeaked. You asked the question, Sunho said with a small smile. Maybe you should give the answer. Velthar looked down at her son. You don't have to. I want to, Crix said. He stood up on his chair. May I speak, Elder Speaker? There was surprised silence in the chamber. It was almost unheard of for a child to address the council. Elder Speaker Morton's eyes showed something that might have been amusement. This is highly irregular. But yes, young one. You may speak. Crix climbed down from his chair. His mother started to follow him, but he shook his head. I need to do this alone. Mother. He walked down to the central floor. He looked so small there. A tiny orange cub surrounded by the representatives of galactic civilization. His voice was high and young, but it was clear. My name is Crix, he said. I am of the Valerian people. 3 days ago, I asked a human woman why she drank coffee. I thought she was poisoning herself. I thought all humans were doing something dangerous and foolish. He paused, looking around at all the representatives watching him. I was wrong, he said. Not about the danger. Coffee is dangerous if you use it wrong. But I was wrong about it being foolish. Because humans don't drink coffee to survive. They drink it to live. Explain. Elder Speaker Mortine said gently. Crix took a deep breath. When I smelled the coffee, I smelled hundreds of different things. My nose is much better than human noses. I could detect all the compounds, all the complexity, and the human woman, Hana, she told me that coffee isn't just about the caffeine, it's about where it comes from. It's about Earth. He walked in a small circle as he spoke, trying to find the right words. Humans grow coffee plants on this station even though it's not efficient. They could synthesize the caffeine, but they don't. Because the plant connects them to their home. Every cup of coffee reminds them of Earth, of their history, of every other human who ever drank it. That is sentimentality, the crystal being hummed. Not efficiency. Yes, Crix agreed. It is sentimentality. And that's important. Because humans value experience more than efficiency. They value consciousness more than comfort. He looked up at Sunho. I watched the humans work for 27 hours. I saw them get tired. I saw the coffee help them keep going. But the coffee didn't make them superhuman. It just let them choose to keep going when their bodies said to stop. That is the concern, the blue representative said. They override their own biology. They ignore their body's warning signals. Oh, but they don't ignore them, Crix said, his voice getting stronger. They listen. They understand. They just choose something different. They choose to care about others more than themselves. They choose to finish the job even when it's hard. They choose to experience more life even when it costs them. He turned to face Elder Speaker Morton directly. Most species sleep when they're tired, eat when they're hungry, rest when they're uncomfortable. That's logical. That's safe. But humans are different. They stay awake to watch the stars. They skip meals to finish important work. They push through discomfort to help others. And coffee, Elder Speaker Morton said slowly, is the tool that enables this. Coffee is the symbol of it, Crix said. The tool is human determination. Coffee just helps them use that tool more effectively. Velthar had stood up in her section, her voice carried across the chamber. My son speaks wisely. I watched the humans during the emergency. Yes, they pushed themselves beyond what we would consider safe. But they also saved lives. They prevented a catastrophe. And they did it not because they were forced to, but because they chose to. Every species has the right to manage their own biology, another representative said. This one looked like a large beetle with iridescent shells. If humans choose to drink coffee, that is their decision. But should we allow such practices on a shared station? The crystal being asked. What if other species try to emulate this? What if children are exposed to these dangerous ideas? Crix's ears flattened. He looked angry for the first time. Dangerous ideas? You mean ideas like caring more about others than yourself? Like refusing to give up when things are hard? Like experiencing as much of life as possible in the time you have? His tail lashed behind him. I'm a child. And even I can see that these aren't dangerous ideas. These are exactly the ideas we should be learning. Elder Speaker Morton leaned forward in his seat. Strong words, young Crix. But you must understand that we have protocols for a reason. We have safety standards to protect all species. I know, Crick said. His anger faded, replaced by something else. Understanding, maybe. And those protocols are good. They keep us safe. But maybe sometimes, safety isn't the most important thing. What is more important than safety? The blue representative demanded. Living, Crick said simply. Really living. Not just existing, but experiencing everything the universe has to offer. Humans understand something that we don't. They know their time is limited. Every species' time is limited, but instead of accepting that, humans decided to fight it. Not with violence, but with coffee and stubbornness, and a refusal to waste a single moment. He looked around the chamber at all the different species. Coffee smells strong to me. Too strong. I will never be able to drink it. My biology can't handle it. But that doesn't mean I can't understand what it represents. And what it represents is beautiful. Beautiful? The crystal being hummed skeptically. Yes, Crick said firmly. It represents the human belief that consciousness is precious. That every moment of awareness, every second of being alive and thinking and feeling, is worth fighting for, worth sacrificing comfort for, worth staying awake for. He turned back to Sunho. When you worked for 27 hours, you weren't just fixing life support. You were showing everyone watching that some things matter more than following the rules. Some things matter more than being comfortable. Some things matter more than being safe. Sunho nodded slowly. Yeah, he said quietly. Yeah, that's exactly it. Rafford, elder speaker Morton was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke, his voice thoughtful. I am very old. I have lived for 300 years by your counting. In that time, I have seen many species join our council. Each brings something unique. The krill brings strength. The Mathuri bring precision. The Valerians bring wisdom. He looked at Sunho, then at Crix. And humans? Humans bring a kind of beautiful insanity. A refusal to accept limits. A determination to experience more, to do more, to be more than nature intended. Is that a compliment or a criticism? Sunho asked. Both, the elder speaker said. It frightens me, but it also inspires me. Perhaps that is what the galaxy needs. Perhaps we have been too comfortable, too content with our limitations. He looked around at the other representatives. I propose we officially recognize human cultural practices, including their use of coffee and their flexible interpretation of work schedules, but with documentation. If humans wish to work extended hours, they must record it. If problems arise, we will address them. And if other species want to try coffee? The beetle representative asked. Then they may try, elder speaker Morton said. With appropriate medical supervision. We are a council of many species. We learn from each other. Perhaps we have something to learn from human determination. The vote was called. Most representatives agreed. Some still looked skeptical, but they didn't oppose it. Crix felt relief flood through him. He had done it. He had helped them understand. As the meeting ended and representatives began to leave, Hana appeared from the visitors section. She had been watching the whole time. That was very brave, she told Crix. I just told the truth, Crix said. The truth isn't always easy to tell, Hana said. She held up her familiar thermos. Want to celebrate? I made some coffee cake this morning. Real coffee, baked into bread. You can't have the coffee, but you can have the cake. What does it taste like? Crix asked, as they walked toward the common area. Sweet, Hana said, with just a hint of bitterness. The coffee flavor is subtle, but it's there. They reached the common area. Teiho was already there, along with Minji and Jiho and Sunho. They had saved a table by the window that looked out at the stars. Hana cut the cake and shared it around. Crix took a small piece and bit into it carefully. His eyes widened. It's good, he said, surprised. Of course it is, Hana laughed. We wouldn't drink it every morning if it wasn't good. Crix ate his cake slowly, savoring it. Then he asked, Hana, will you teach me about other human things? Not just coffee? What do you want to learn? Hana asked. Everything, Crix said. His tail wagged with excitement. You said humans invented lights to push back the darkness. You said they create art and music at night. You said they refuse to accept limits. I want to understand all of it. Hana smiled. She poured herself a cup of coffee from her thermos. The familiar smell filled the air around them. How much time do you have? She asked. All the time I need, Crix said confidently. You taught me that time isn't about how many hours you have. It's about what you do with those hours. Smart cub, Sunho said approvingly. Velthar had joined them at the table. She looked at her son with pride and a little bit of concern. I hope you're not planning to start drinking coffee, she said. No, mother, Crix assured her. My biology can't handle it. But I don't need coffee to learn what it represents. I don't need coffee to understand that life is precious, and consciousness is valuable, and time should not be wasted. Good, Velthar said. But she was smiling. They sat together at the table by the window, humans and Valerians, sharing cake and coffee and stories. Outside, the stars turned slowly in their eternal dance. Inside, a small cub had learned that the universe was full of mysteries, and some of the greatest mysteries were carried in a simple thermos by people who refused to let biology dictate their dreams. Crix looked at Hana's coffee cup. He still thought it smelled too strong, too bitter. But now when he smelled it, he didn't think of poison. He thought of determination. He thought of borrowed time and stubborn hope, and the beautiful human refusal to accept that there weren't enough hours in a day. To borrowed time, Crix said, raising his glass of water. The humans all raised their coffee cups. To borrowed time, they replied, and together they drank to the future, to experience, and to the precious gift of consciousness that made every moment worth living.